Hello friends, hi. Very good evening to, very good morning to all of you. In fact, it's my first session in the morning. So let's start, guys. Now, in the last session, we started with standard costing, wherein we discussed what is standard costing. It means what? That first of all, this standard costing is a part of management accounting and it assists management in decision making. It provides a report, detailed report, that what is going wrong in the system so that management can take corrective actions accordingly. So now these standard costing is what? Basically every company do set up benchmark targets or standards at the beginning of the year, and they do compare these target set with the actual results at the year end. There are some deviations between the target set and the actual results. These deviations are known as variances. Now, the standard costing technique helps us to first of all calculate these variances, that is what is the difference between the target set and the actual result. And second thing, the analysis of variance, that is why this variances, which department is actually responsible for this variances. That also standard costing technique helps us to figure out. Now guys, as discussed in the last session, that is the management is concerned about profit. So if there is any deviation in the profit, two elements will be responsible for the same, because while calculation of profit, it is based on two elements, that is sales and total cost. So if there is a variance in profit, it will be because of either sales or cost department. So we have further break that cost department into various parts, that is material, labor and overheads. Further, overheads can be classified in two parts, that is fixed overheads and variable overheads. So what we will do is we'll do in-depth investigation of each and every element, each and every breakup, to figure out that which element is basically responsible for the deviation in profit. So we started with in-depth investigation of the material department, wherein, let me check first of all, everyone is here. Very good morning to all of you guys. Now, so we started with material department, wherein Mr. Shamim is the head of the material department, and I called him Mr. Shamim that I think there is a variance in our profit, and I think your department is responsible for the same. So Shamim has borrowed some time. That said, just give me some time. I'll prepare an in-depth report and we'll get back to you. So now what Shamim observed is that this was the budget given by the management, wherein two types of raw materials are used, that is X and Y. X is used 60 kgs, Y is used 40 kgs. The total input is 100. There is a loss of 20 kgs and the output 80. So the budget says that for every unit we have to use two types of raw material, X and Y. If X is used 60 kgs, then Y will be used 40 kg. The total input will be 100, 20 will be the normal loss and 80 will be the output. Further, the management has advised that X should be purchased at the rate of rupees 5 per kg and Y should be purchased at the rate of rupees 4 per kg. Now when the actual results were out, herein X was used 700 kgs at the rate of 4 rupees per unit. That's why the total cost incurred was 2800. Similarly, total 300 kgs were consumed for Y at the rate 5, so 1500. Now my first question is, are these two figures comparable? No. Why no? Because their output is not same. I have already discussed what is the concept in depth in the last session. So these two figures cannot be compared because the output is not same. So what we did is we converted this 80 output data into 700 output data to make these two figures comparable. So this data is what the revised budget. So this data is what the revised budget, wherein the 80 unit output budget is converted into 700 unit output budget. Now, this must cost cost should be 700 units. I repeat again, what is the purpose? That this much cost has to be incurred for preparing 700 units, wherein we incurred this much of cost for these 700 units. So these two figures are comparable. In material, the basis of comparison, as I said, is output. Now, herein, I repeat again, guys, this much cost was supposed to be incurred for 700 units, but this is actually incurred for producing 700 units. You can easily calculate the variance. So first part what we discussed is material that how much was supposed to be incurred as per the budgeted or as per the target set. Very simple, 4,025 is the total cost that was supposed to be incurred as set by the management. But however, instead of 4,025, we spent 4,300. That is 275 rupees extra. So this is what we, this 275, the extra cost that is incurred. So this is not favorable for the company. It is adverse for the company. That's why A. Alternatively, for manufacturing these 700 units, X should be used 525 kgs at the rate 5. However, how much we use 700 kgs at the rate 4. So this is how we calculated 175 adverse. Similarly, for producing these, for manufacturing these 700 units, Y was consumed, Y was supposed to be consumed 350 kgs at the rate 4. However, we consumed 300 kgs at the rate 5. So that's why 100 adverse. So total is 275 adverse. Now, since Mr. Shamim is out with the data that yes, in my department there is a loss of 275. Now, two elements are responsible for this loss. See, herein also, this total cost variance is calculated by using two elements. That is, one is the quantity and second is the price. See, the quantity was supposed to be used 525, but we used 700 kgs. The price at which it should be purchased is rupees 5 per unit. However, we purchased at 4 per unit. So two elements are responsible for this overall loss of 275 or overall deviation of 275. So let's break up it in two parts. That element is contributing to this loss of 275. Now, let's start with the price element first of all. Let's start with the price element first of all, guys. Wherein the price element basically it relates to the purchase manager. That is purchase. It is the duty of the purchase manager to purchase the units at a competitive price. So herein the purchase manager was supposed to purchase it at the rate purchase it at 4. Now, why multiplied by 700 quantity? Because he will judge his performance on the basis of quantity what he has actually purchased. So he has actually purchased 700 units. That's why 5 minus 4 into 700. Similarly, in case of Y, it should be purchased at the rate of 4 per unit. However, it was purchased at the rate 5 per unit into the quantity that he has actually purchased, that is 300 units. That's why 4 minus 5 into 300. That's why this is total 400 favorable. If you guys have any doubts in the work done by the purchase manager, that is Miss Mansha, then you guys can ask me. Then I'll start with material usage variance. Waiting for guys. Now, moving towards the production demand, which is responsible to check that how much raw material was supposed to be used and how much it is actually used. So this is what the difference in the usage. So it is material usage variance. So how much raw material was supposed to be used? 525 kgs. But how much raw material was actually used? 700 kgs. So 525 minus 700. Now, since purchase manager is not concerned, he will evaluate his performance only on the basis of quantity purchased. Similarly, this department also ignores the work done by the purchase manager. They are just concerned about the price, that is 5 and 4. That's why I have taken standard price here. So the quantity that was supposed to be used is 525 kgs. Instead, they use 700 kgs into 5. Similarly, 350 minus 300 into 4. So this is how we got 675 adverse, guys. So here it is 400 favorable and here it is 675 adverse. So the net adverse is 275. So if you guys have any doubts till now, this is what we discussed in the last session. So if you guys have any doubts till now, you guys can ask me. Very good, Nishma. So waiting for your queries. This was the part that I discussed in the last session, guys. Yes, Charu, when they ask you to calculate the overall material variance, then you have to calculate material cost variance, price variance, and usage variance. We will be discussing two more variances further. Very good morning, Sanjay. I hope I'm audible to all and the board is visible to all of you guys. Admin sir, are you there? Admin sir?
Yes, sir.
Sir, the board is visible to all, na?
Yeah, we still have.
One second, sir. Sir, hopefully now it is better. Admin sir, it is better now. It is better now. Okay, guys. So this was the part what we discussed in the last session now. Nikita, I'll be addressing your query once I'm done with the once I'm done with all the variances of material part. So I'll be addressing your query later on, dear. Now, guys, this is the total overall material usage variance. That is, it means what? That how much quantity was supposed to be used and how much it is actually used. So there is an overall difference of usage. Now this is the total usage variance. It can be further categorized in two parts. See how come? See, there is a change in usage. It means what? There is a change in overall usage wherein total 875 total input was supposed to be made. However, we made an overall input of 1000. So this is the one breakup. And the second one is that the raw material X and Y should be used in the ratio of 60:40, wherein they were used in the ratio of 70:30. I repeat again, yes, there is a difference in usage, but it may be due to two reasons. First one is due to change in mix, overall mix. The management has advised you to use the mix of 60:40, wherein we used it in the ratio of 70:30. So first and the foremost breakup is that there is a change in mix. Because of this, there is a usage variance. And second thing, the overall usage, that is the overall quantity that was supposed to be used and the overall quantity what we actually used, guys. So now let's discuss the two breakups of usage variance. That is, first one is the mix variance, that is due to change in mix. Let's take a very basic example, guys. Let's say, suppose Sakshi. Sakshi's mother told her to prepare the tea and she advised her to use a mix of 60:40. Wherein what she did, she changed the mix from 60% milk and 40% water to 70% milk and 30% water. So because of this overall change in mix, the total usage has changed. So let's discuss the first breakup, that is due to change in mix. Now, the person who is the in charge of the production generally make this mistake. Let's say I'm the manufacturer of shirt. Now my management advised that I have to use 98% cotton and 2% polyester. Now what I did is I used 99% cotton and 1% polyester. So due to this, there is an overall change in usage. So let's first calculate in this scenario that how much is due to change in usage, due to change in mix, guys. So herein the management advised that there should be an overall mix of 60:40. So the total input is how much? 1000 kgs, and it should be used in the ratio of 60:40. This total input of 1000 was supposed to be used in the ratio of 60:40. That is 600:400. I repeat again, guys, the person, that is the engineer, is responsible for change in mix, wherein the management has advised to keep the mix in the ratio of 60:40. However, he changed the things on his own and he changed the mix to 70:30. Now herein we are calculating the material variances on the basis, and the basis of comparison is the output. That's why I have taken the actual usage, that is total 1000 input was made during the year, and it should be in the ratio of 60:40, that is 600:400. However, the actual mix was 700:300. Since this is again the junior of usage department, so they are not at all concerned by the work done by the purchase manager. So we will ignore the actual price, because this is what the price that is actually considered by the purchase manager. So we will ignore this price since it is a part of usage department only. So we will take the standard price only, that is 5 and 4. So herein, due to change in mix, there is a deviation of 500 adverse in case of X, and in case of Y, it is 400 favorable, still net adverse of 100. So this is due to change in mix. So that's why it is material mix variance. If you guys have any doubts in this material mix variance, you guys can ask me. I repeat again, the overall cost variance is 275. It is due to two breakups, that is the work done by the purchase manager and the work done by the users department. So the work done by the purchase manager results in a profit of 400, whereas due to the wrong work done by the production department, there is a loss of 675. So that's why we written 675 adverse. So this is how we got 275 adverse. Now, as far as users department is concerned, it can be further divided in two parts, wherein the first one is the person who is responsible for the composition, that is the mixing of raw material. Because here in the product, the final product is made from two raw material, X and Y. And management has advised that the ratio should be 60:40 for manufacturing all the units. But however, we changed the mix from 60:40 to 70:30. So that's why we have calculated mix variance. Now let's say if a particular product is manufactured from only one raw material. Now let's say if a particular product is manufactured from only one raw material. In that case, material mix variance will not be calculated. The solution will end here itself. That is, this much is due to usage and this much is due to the work done by the purchase manager. So if in any case, if there is only one raw material, there is no point calculating mix variance because there is no mix involved. So this is what? This variance is due to the deficiency, or this variance is due to the wrong work done by the engineer. That is the person who is responsible to maintain the composition or mix. Now, the last part, that is the person who is ultimately using the raw material, putting it into the process and getting the final product. That is material yield variance. Herein, this person is ultimately responsible to manufacture. See, this guy cannot be blamed for the wrongdoing, even though there is an overall difference of 675 adverse, but this guy cannot be blamed completely. There is something wrong going on in his department. That is, his juniors are doing something wrong. He is in charge of the production department. He is not actually putting the raw material in machinery and getting the final product. Further, this department, he is the head of the department, and this department can be further broken into two parts. First one is what? The engineer part, that is the person who is responsible for making or mixing the composition. And second one is the ultimate person, the labor person, who has to who has to put the raw material into the machinery to get the final product. So they are ultimately responsible for the production. So now, when talking about material yield variance, how much in aggregate input was supposed to be used for manufacturing 700 units? Very simple. The total input that was supposed to be made for manufacturing these 700 units is how much? 875 kgs. But for manufacturing these 700 units, how much raw material we actually consumed? 1000 kgs. How much kgs extra? 125 kgs extra we consume. That is, the person who is responsible for putting raw material into the machinery, he was advised that overall 875 kgs are only to be used. Let's say Sakshi was advised by her mom to use 60% of milk, 40% of water to prepare the tea. She changed the composition to 70:30. Now the overall raw material, she was advised that is in aggregate of milk and water, it was supposed to be used 875 cups only, but she used 1000 cups. Now there is a difference of uses, overall uses. So now where that material is lost, either she has spilled some milk or the more water is evaporated during the process. So just I want to explain is this is the person who is ultimately responsible for the production. So herein total raw material that was supposed to be used for this 700 units is how much? 875 kgs. But how much raw material was actually used for this? 1000 kgs. So overall there is an increase in usage of how much? 125 kgs. Now, this one, out of this 125 kgs, something belongs to X, something belongs to Y. So my point is whether to take rate 4 or 5. Because herein it is the further the breakup of usage department. So my question, the first point is that we will not use the actual price. We will be using the standard price only. Now, this 125 kg, some part belongs to X, some part belongs to Y. So whether to take rate 5 per unit or 4 per unit, or we can take average or we can take weighted average. The best approach is use weighted average method. Why weighted average method? We can't take 4.5 first of all. The reason is that here in the quantity is different. So we will have to use we will have to use the weight of quantity as well as price. So the weighted average rate will be into 4025 divided by 875. So here the answer will be 575 adverse. Why? Because 675 adverse is the total usage variance, of which 100 adverse is due to change in mix. So this much will be due to change in overall usage of the material. So if you guys have any doubts till now, you guys can ask me. Now waiting for your queries, guys, on material mix and material yield variance. This one is what? Further, these are the further breakups of usage department, because he's let's say Shivani Rajput is the head of usage department. So further, Shivani is assisted by further 2 more person. First one is the engineer and second one is the person who is actually directly involved in the production process, wherein he convert the raw material into the final product. So the first part is the engineer part, wherein he is supposed to maintain the mix at the rate of 60:40. However, he changed the mix to 70:30. So first part, due to change in mix, the overall variance is 100 adverse. So the remaining variance will be how much? Total 675 adverse is the variance. Out of this, 100 is due to change in mix. So the balance will be due to change in overall consumption of raw material. So this we call as material yield variance. Yes, Sanjay, Ashi, Nishma, Sakshi, Nikita, Brajmohan, any one of you have any doubts? Waiting for your queries, guys. Yes, Shamim, everything is expressed in monetary terms only, not in quantitative terms, but in monetary terms. Now see, there are few queries. The first query is from Nishma sir did not understand the 600 minus 700, the calculation of mix. Now see, the management has advised us to keep a mix of 60:40. The management has advised us to keep the mix and the ratio of 60:40. Check the total input. The total input is how much? Total 1000 kgs. I repeat again, the actual input that was made during the year is how much? 1000 kgs. Now the 1000 kg should be in the ratio of 60:40. Again, this is also the ratio of 60:40. If you guys want to cross check, this is again the ratio of 60:40. So the management has advised that whatever the inputs you are making, it should be in the ratio of 60:40. So herein the actual input is 1000. The actual input is 1000, and as advised by the management, the mix should be how much? 60:40. That is 600:400. So this should be the mix of usage of raw material. That is 600:400. Now, what is the actual mix? That is, we actually use 700 kgs of X and 300 kgs of Y. So the deviation due to change in mix is how much? Instead of 600, we actually use 700 into standard price. Now, why standard price? Because again, these are the breakups of usage department, and usage department has nothing to do with the work done by the purchase manager, because this is what the price actually used by the purchase manager to purchase X and Y. So they are not at all concerned about the work done by the purchase manager. While expressing the variance in the price monetary terms, they will be considering this price only, that is 5 and 4. They are not at all concerned about the work done by the purchase manager. So the management has advised that whatever the inputs you are actually making, it should be in the ratio of 60:40. So the ratio should be 60:40. However, we change the mix. The engineer changed the mix to 70:30. That is 700:300 into the standard price. Why standard price? I've already discussed. So that's why the variance is 100 adverse. Now, when talking about the yield variance, see guys, first of all, to keep the things clear, I have calculated the yield variance in this way. There are 3 more ways to calculate the yield variance, but I will not be discussing in the class because it will be little confusing for many of the students. So just to keep the thing simple, how much total raw material was supposed to be used for manufacturing 700 units? Very simple. 875 kgs was supposed to be used. How much raw material was total in aggregate was supposed to be used for manufacturing 875? If you will deduct 875 minus 20%, you will get an output of 700. So for manufacturing this 700 units, we should have consumed how much of raw material? 875 kgs only. But for manufacturing these 700 units, how much we actually consume? 1000 kgs. That is 125 kgs extra. Now when talking about 125 kgs, some portion is of X and some portion is of Y. So my question is whether to take the rate of X or whether to take the rate of Y. So whether to take the rate of X or whether to take the rate of Y. Now, because some portion belongs to X, some portions belongs to Y. So better not to take the rate of X as well as Y. Now question is either to take average rate or weighted average rate. Since the quantity is deviating, here in the X is used 525 kgs and the Y is supposed to be used 350 kgs. So now we cannot use average rate. Reason being, if it is 300 kgs, we would have easily taken the average rate. But there is a difference in quantity as well as price. So we will be considering both the element, that is quantity as well as price. So that's why 525 into 5, 350 into 4, the total cost is 4025 for overall 875 units. That's why 4025 divided by 875. So whatever the rate derived is what? The weighted average rate into the overall quantity, that is 125 kgs. Yes, Sanjay, material yield variance can be calculated for X and Y separately. Let me get my calculator, guys, just a minute. Now, guys, if you are having queries, sir, can we calculate the material yield variance separately? See, the overall usages should be 875 kgs and we made an overall usage of 1000 kgs. So how much kgs extra? 125 kgs extra. It should be in the ratio of 60:40. That's why it should be 75 and 50. 75 kgs and 50 kgs. So 75 kgs belongs to X. So into 5, and this belongs to Y. So into 4. Again the answer will be 575 kgs. 575 adverse. Now there is a query, sir, why we are not considering the normal loss? See, this much input is required to manufacture 700 units. So the overall normal loss we were expecting is how much? 175 kgs. The overall normal loss what we were expecting is how much kgs? 175 kgs. But there was a normal loss of how much? 300 kgs. That is 125 kgs extra. Again, 125 certain percentage belongs to X and certain percentage belongs to Y. So either you can distribute it and calculate it separately, or you can calculate the overall yield variance also. So what I do advise is just follow the basic approach to keep the thing simple. Forget and forgive me what I have discussed in last 1 minute. Just follow the simple approach. Don't go here and there. Just follow the simple approach that how much raw material was supposed to be used in aggregate. 875 kgs. And how much we actually used? 1000 kgs. That is 125 kgs extra into weighted average standard rate. That is how much? 4025 divided by 875. So this is how we got 575 adverse. So Kamal, we have considered, I have considered each and every element, whether it is normal loss or whether it is, we can show it separately also. In all the ways you can calculate. There is one more way to calculate material yield variance, but better follow the best approach and the simple approach to calculate material yield variance. And this is what the best and the simplest approach to calculate material yield variance. Now, if you guys have any doubts in this presentation, you guys can ask me. Waiting for your queries, whether you have any doubts as far as the work of purchase manager or production manager or the engineer or the person who is actually responsible for production or the overall material cost variance, you guys can ask me. Priyanka, hopefully your doubt is resolved. This is to calculate the overall weighted average rate. Disha, hopefully your queries are resolved. I mean, I have discussed yield variance once again. Now there is a query from Namrata, sir, which method to be used in exam. I advise you to use this method or any of the method, but I personally advise use this method and calculate the answer. It is the easiest method, guys. Yes, Shivani Rajput, any other doubts? Mansha? Yes, Anushka, any doubts? Sanjay, any doubts? Now, earlier what students were doing is that they were trying to apply the formula and calculate the variance. Now see, if the question is asked straight, then you can, whatever the formulas you guys have memorized, and you can apply the same formulas in the question and you guys can solve. But what if there are some, you know, some points which create some sort of confusion in the question? Now in that case, try to apply the concept. So what I just want to say is that the conclusive statement is that guys, try to learn and remember the concept. No need to learn the formulas. From these concepts only formulas are prepared. How come? Let's say you guys must have studied standard costing earlier also, wherein the formula for material cost variance is what? Standard quantity into standard price minus actual quantity into actual price. That is what I have done. See, as far as material cost variance is concerned, 525 kgs are to be used at the rate 5. So it means standard quantity is to be used at standard price, wherein 700 kgs were used at the rate 4. So minus actual quantity into actual price. So this is the formula that is given in the material. There is no formula, guys. It's all about the concept. Let's check the work of purchase manager. He was supposed to purchase at the rate 5, but he actually purchased at the rate 4. So he was supposed to purchase at standard price. He purchased at actual price. Into, he will evaluate his performance only on the basis of work which he has actually done. And since he says that, yes, sir, I have purchased actually 700 units of X and 300 units of Y. So that's why my performance should be evaluated on that basis. So that's why into actual quantity. So this is the formula that is given in the study material. Further, how much quantity was supposed to be used? 525 kgs. How much we used? 700 kgs. Into standard price, because they are not at all concerned about the work done by the purchase manager. So this is standard quantity was supposed to be used minus actual quantity they actually used into standard price. And the last, mix variance. As explained, the 1000 input was supposed to be used in the ratio of 60s to 40. So this is what? The standard mix ratio. So it should be the standard mix minus what was the actual mix? 700 is to 300. That is the actual quantity into standard price. And as far as material yield variance is concerned, there is a formula given in the question wherein, material standard quantity minus standard mix into standard price. So you guys can apply the formula and solve the question. But question arises, why these formulas? What is the logic behind these formulas? That what I have discussed in this session, wherein how to calculate the material variance by using concept. So once you guys are thorough with the concept, no need to remember the formula. Even you guys can frame the formulas on your own. So that is what the motto of mine, to teach you the concepts of material variances. No, Disha, you can use any of the ways to calculate material yield variance. Examiner is concerned about your final answer. That's it. And the way you have calculated, so it can be any of the ways you can calculate material yield variance. Renuka, I'm not getting what you are asking, sir, for purchase department. I think you missed the last class, Renuka. Mansha, please elaborate your question. I'm not getting what you are asking. See, Charu, this is the formula that is given in the material. So you can calculate the yield variance as per this formula as well as this approach. So it's up to you, Charu. So these are the logic or concepts behind these formulas, that how these formulas are prepared, wherein the formula that is given for material cost variance is standard quantity into standard price minus actual quantity into actual price. How come this formula is derived? I have already explained. As far as material price variance is concerned, standard price minus actual price into actual quantity. Why this actual quantity? Why this formula? I have already discussed. Again, material usage variance, this much quantity was supposed to be used, that is standard quantity was supposed to be used. We used actual quantity into standard price. Why standard price? I have already discussed. Now, as far as the work of engineer is concerned, this should be the mix. That is, the mix should be in the ratio of 60:40. That is 600:400. However, the mix was changed from 600:400 to 700:300 multiplied by the standard price. As far as material yield variance is concerned, either you can apply the formula, or apart from this, you can use the simplest approach, that how much total input was supposed to be made, 875 kgs, minus how much input was actually made, that is 1000 kgs. Again, I am using this formula only, but in a different way. Into weighted average price, that is 525 into 5, 350 into 4, 1400, total 4025 divided by 875. So this is 575 adverse, guys. Now see, 100 adverse, 575 adverse, total is 675 adverse. So the total loss that is contributed by the production department is 675. Wherein the purchase manager has made a profit of 400. So that's why the overall loss is 275. Now Shamim is out with the total picture. Now he can present it to me that, sir, yes, I understand there is a loss of 275 overall in my department, and so person has contributed. Wherein the purchase manager has done a very good job. She purchased these goods, these raw material at a competitive price. Because of this, we got a overall variance of 400 favorable. But due to the mistake done by the production department, the overall production department, we made a loss of 675, resulting in an overall loss of 275. Further, in the users department, there are two persons that are associated. That is, first one is the engineer, whose responsibility is to maintain the proper composition. But yes, he did a slight mistake, wherein due to this, there is a result of overall loss of 100. But the major thing, the major corrective action where it is needed is the person who is ultimately responsible for production. So now, this is the overall report of material department. This is the overall, diagnostic report of the material department, wherein the corrective action that is required is here. So this guy should be removed from the job. Further, this guy should be promoted. This guy cannot be removed because he is the head of the department. So he can be given some sort of instruction to follow the guidelines. But further, this guy is surely going to burst out on these two people. Further, this guy can also escape this, sir. You told me 60-40 should be the ratio. I changed the ratio to 70:30 to improve the product quality. So somehow this guy can excuse himself, but there is no excuse for this guy. This guy is to be removed from the system. So the major corrective action that is needed is in this part, that is the person who is ultimately responsible for the production. So final conclusive report, there is an overall loss of 275 in the material department. This guy is to be promoted, or this guy is to be rewarded. Further, this guy cannot be removed. He can be advised to take some strict actions against the juniors who are working. This guy can escape. However, there is no excuse for this guy. This guy is to be removed because due to this guy, there is an overall loss of 275 in the system. So this is how the standard costing works, wherein we will calculate the overall material variance first of all. Since it is variance analysis, that is analysis of variance. So this is the analysis of material variance, wherein it gives the clear picture that who should be rewarded and who should be removed from the system, where exactly the corrective actions are required. So this is how practically the standard costing works. So if you guys have any doubts as far as formula is concerned, why this system, how we use this system, I've already discussed. So giving you 2 minutes, whatever the queries you guys can post. I'll be addressing all your queries, guys. Very good, Nishma. This is the formula for material mix variance, that is standard mix minus actual quantity into standard price. Manish, this is 875, the estimated input, that this should be the overall input for manufacturing 700 units. I repeat again, Manish, the overall input that is required for 700 units is 875 kgs. However, we made an input of 1000 kgs. That's why there is a difference of 125 kgs. Now, there are few queries that are how to write the paper. The first thing is, prepare this table. Second thing, write material cost variance, write down the formula, and then solve the question. That's it. As far as formula is concerned, I hope you guys are clear how to prepare these formulas. So I hope you guys are clear. No need to memorize the formula, just try to learn the concepts and prepare the formulas, guys. So guys, in this we discussed material cost variance. What is material cost variance? The overall cost that was supposed to be incurred, that is standard quantity into standard price, minus the overall cost that is actually incurred is actual quantity into actual price. Now moving towards the next part, that is the work done by the purchase manager, wherein he is responsible for the change in price. Now, so that's why material price variance wherein this should be the price which is suggested by the management minus the actual price he actually used to purchase the desired quantity. And why actual quantity? Because he will be evaluating his performance on the basis of quantity what he actually purchased, rather than how much was supposed to be used. He is not at all concerned about. When talking about material usage variance, this much quantity was supposed to be used minus this much quantity actually used into standard price. Why standard price? I've already discussed. Again, two parts of usage variance. The first part is material mix variance, that is standard mix minus actual quantity into standard price. How this formula is prepared, I've already discussed. And last is material sub-usage or yield variance, wherein it is given standard quantity minus standard mix into standard price. So I request you guys to please take the screenshot. Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you so much. No, Shivani, your formula is incorrect. Now, a few more points. The first one is, if there is only one type of raw material, mix and yield will not be calculated. No need to make further bifurcation of usage variance. Simply, if it is only one type of raw material, material cost, price, and usage, we are done with it. This mix and yield is the further breakup of usage variance where there are two or more than two raw material. Now, the material variances are over. I hope you guys are done with it and you guys are thorough with it, because enough of the time has been dedicated to these material variance. Now let's start with labor variances, guys. Labor variance is just like material variance, the copy paste of material variance. Very simple. I repeat again, guys. This labor variance is the copy paste of material variance. Now, how come? Let's take a very basic question. Guys, I'm starting with labor variances now. Let's take a very basic question. Let's say three types of labors are involved for manufacturing a particular product. Let's say three types of labor are involved for manufacturing a particular unit. Let's say skilled, semi-skilled, and unskilled. The same question is in the material what I have provided, guys. So I request you to download the material what I have provided, that is the PPT. So total 2 hours of skilled is required for manufacturing 1 unit. Similarly, for semi-skilled, 3 hours are required, and for unskilled, 5 hours required to manufacture 1 unit of, let's say, product is X. The price, that is the rate that is to be paid to the labor, is for skilled it is 5. For semi-skilled it is 3, and for unskilled it is 2. So these are the rates that are advised by the management to be paid to skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled worker. The total number of hours required for manufacturing 1 unit is how much? 10 hours. So this is the data that is given in the question. Thank you, Shamim. So now, this is the data that is given in the question, wherein for manufacturing every unit, 3 labors are involved. That is, first one is skilled, second one is semi-skilled, and third one is unskilled, wherein 2 hours of skilled is required, 3 hours of semi-skilled is required, and unskilled is required. Total 5 hours, total 10 hours are required to manufacture 1 unit of, let's say, product X. The rate to be paid to the workers is 5, 3 and 2. Now when the actual results were out, total 5,000 units were manufactured or produced, whatever it is. The work done by skilled worker is for 9,000 hours, semi-skilled work for 17,000 hours, and unskilled work for 30,000 hours. Let's say this is the data that is given in the question. They were paid at the rate 1.5, 7 and 2.75. So management had advised to pay at the rate 5, 3 and 2. However, they paid at the rate 7, 2.75 and 1.5. So the total amount will be 45,000, 63,000, 46,750. So it took total 56,000 hours to manufacture 5,000 units, wherein the total cost that is involved is 46,750 plus 45. 154,750. Now guys, my question is, are these two figures comparable or not? Are these two figures comparable or not? I repeat again, guys, my question is, are these two figures comparable or not? No. The reason is that this data is given for only 1 unit. And this data is given for total how many units? 5,000 units. So my question is, are we required to prepare revised budget? Yes, we are required to prepare revised budget. Now, what will be the hours required for the revised budget? As far as rate is concerned, it is 5, 3 and 2. How much is the hours required for revised budget? I am waiting for your answers, guys. Waiting for the answers. How much hours were actually dedicated for manufacturing these 5,000 units? You guys have to calculate. how much hours it actually took is 9,000, 17,000 and 30,000. I'm just asking that how much hours actually should be consumed for manufacturing these 5,000 units. Waiting for the answers, guys. I repeat again, guys, the management has advised that for every 1 unit, 2 hours of skilled, 3 hours of semi-skilled and 5 hours of unskilled labor is required. If you are not being able to download the PPT, let's ignore it. Listen to me what I'm saying. Management has advised that you should consume 2 hours of skilled, 3 hours of semi-skilled and 5 hours of unskilled labor to manufacture 1 unit of product X. Actually, we produce 5,000 units by consuming in so and so. Now, my first point, are these two figures comparable? No. Now, can we make it comparable? Yes. So, how much hours should actually be dedicated for 5,000 units? You guys need to calculate it. How much hours actually consumed? It is already given in the question. So, how much hours should actually be consumed? You guys have to answer now. I've got the answer. Kamal, yes, your answer is correct. Charu, correct answer. Manish, incorrect answer. Mansha, correct answer. Brijmohan, correct answer. Shivani, partially correct. Shivani. Shamim, incorrect answer. Manish, again incorrect answer. I think Shivani, you are writing only for skilled labor. I am talking about skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled. All three. Manish, incorrect answer, dear. There is a query from Renuka of the last question, sir. How come 350 in the revised budget? Renuka, don't worry. I'll address your query at the end of the session. I'll keep in mind and I'll address your query. Don't worry, because I've already discussed in detail in the last session that how come 350. So don't worry. I'll be addressing your query at the end of the session here. Renuka, incorrect answer. Ishika, correct answer. Nishma, very good, correct answer. Nikita, correct answer. Disha, correct answer. Very good, guys. Sanjay, completely incorrect, total incorrect answer. Full blender. Guys, it's very simple question. What you guys are doing, I don't know. Sanjay, please check your answer. Your answers are incorrect here. Manish, please check your answer. Yes, Shivani, correct answer. Perfect. Shivani Singh. Yes, very good, Shivani. Now, guys, Renuka, you also see, because I'll be addressing your query also now only. See, in the last question, there were two raw material X and Y, 60 and 40 for final output of 80. And the actual output was 700 units. So what we did, very simple, I'm following the same approach what we used in the last question. That is 60 is required for 80 output. So how much for 700 output? Very simple, 525. 40 for 80 output. So how much for 700 output? 350. So this is what we did in the last question. Now in this question also, 2 hours are required for 1 unit. And if you are manufacturing 5,000 units, how much hours are required? 10,000 hours. The same concept, 3 hours are required for 1 unit. So for 5,000 units, how many hours? 15,000 hours. Again, 5 hours are required for 1 unit. So for 5,000 units, how many hours? 25,000 hours. So the same concept, that if one unit required 2 hours, so 5,000 units will require how many hours? 10,000 hours. If one unit requires 3 hours, 5,000 requires how much hours? 15,000 hours. If one unit requires 5 hours, total 5,000 units are required how many hours? 25,000 hours. Guys, again, just like material, in labor also the basis of comparison is output. It means your budgeted output and actual output should be same. Then only you guys can compare. Rao, incorrect answer. Very good, Mansha. Very good, Hina. So hopefully, Renuka, your query is clear that in case of material as well as labor, the basis of comparison is output. If you want to compare the budgeted data and the standard data, the output should be the same. So herein, 40 kgs were required for 80 units of output. Then 700 units of output, how much quantity required? 350. So guys, so these two figures were not comparable because the output was not same. That's why we made it comparable, wherein we converted this 1 unit data into 5,000 units data. So the total cost that was supposed to be incurred was 10,000 into 5, 50,000, 15,000 into 3, 45,000, and 25 into 2, 50,000. So total it is 1,45,000. So this much cost was supposed to be incurred, and how much we incurred actually for manufacturing 5,000 units? 154,750. Just like material, just similar concepts like material. That first of all, what we did, are these two figures comparable? No. So we made it comparable by preparing revised budget. This revised budget is for how many units? 5,000 units. So for 5,000 units, this should have been incurred and this should have been done. But what we actually did, that is actual results. No worries. Sanjay. Now, let's start with the variances. In the material, we calculated what? Material cost variance. So in labor also, we will calculate what? Labor cost variance. That is, overall cost that was supposed to be incurred is 1,45,000, and how much it is actually incurred? 154,750. So how much extra? 9,750 adverse. It's just similar to material, guys. Now, it can be further explained like the total 10,000 hours are to be paid for skilled at the rate 5, but however we paid for 9,000 hours at the rate 7. For semi-skilled, 15,000 hours are to be paid at the rate of 3. We paid 17,000 hours at the rate 2.75. Similarly, 25,000 hours were supposed to be paid at the rate 2. We paid for 30,000 hours at the rate 1.5. So in aggregate, $13,000 adverse, 5,000 favorable, 1,750 adverse. So the total will be 9,750 adverse. So just it's the copy paste of material cost variance. wherein the way we were solving material cost variance, this is the way we have to calculate labor cost variance. Now, in material cost variance, we did two breakup. That is, what should be the work done by the purchase manager, that is what price the purchase manager should have purchased and at what price it is actually purchased. So there was a deviation in price, that is what we call it as material price variance. So herein it is also labor. Instead of price, you will use the word rate, because in material we were calculating price variance, but in labor we will calculate labor rate variance. No worries, Shamim. Now, when talking about labor rate variance, again the same concept, guys. How much price was supposed to be paid for material? Similarly, how much we were supposed to pay for labor? 5. But we paid at the rate of 7 into actual 9,000 hours. So it will be 18,000 adverse. Similarly, for semi-skilled, we were supposed to pay at the rate 3. We paid at the rate 2.75 into 17,000 hours. So this will be 4250 favorable. Similarly, we were supposed to pay at the rate rupees 2 per hour, but we paid 1.5 per hour. Into the hours actually paid 30,000 hours. So it is 15,000. So this is all what about rate variance. Again, the copy paste of material variance. What we were doing, this much price minus this much price into actual quantity. Similarly, this is standard rate minus actual rate into actual hours. Now, in this part, that is material usage variance, how much quantity that was supposed to be used, how much quantity we actually used into standard price. Why standard price? I have already discussed. So in this case also, labor time, or we call it as efficiency also. How much quantity that was supposed to be used, that is 10,000 kgs. So here in 10,000 hours minus hours actually work 9,000 hours into standard rate, that is 5. Similarly, 15,000 hours minus 17,000 into 3. 25,000 minus 30,000 into 2. So it is 5,000 favorable, 6,000 adverse, again copy paste of material, that is material usage variance. We'll be using the word labor time because there is a usage of material. So the deviation is of usage. Herein there is a deviation of time. So that's why labor time, or we call it as efficiency variance, wherein we calculate it like that. Now see, the overall variance is 9750 adverse, wherein here the labor rate variance is 1250 favorable and it is 11,000 adverse. So the net amount will be 9750 adverse. That is 1250 adverse plus 11,000 favorable. It will be 9750 adverse. Just like material, there were two elements involved. That is, it was material mix variance and material yield variance. That is the engineer and the person who is ultimately putting the raw material in the system and getting the final product. Similarly, again, labor can be further divided in two parts, wherein first one is labor Mix variance. Now guys, very important. Again, it's the copy paste of material. The mix should be in the ratio of 2 hours is to 3 hours is to 5 hours. That is, whatever the products we are producing or manufacturing, whatever it is, the labor, the workforce who are working should be in the ratio of 2 hours for skilled, 3 hours for semi-skilled, and 5 hours for unskilled. But we change the ratio in 9 is to 17 is to 30. So let's calculate first of all the mix variance. So this 56,000, the actual hours totally worked, should be in the ratio of 2 is to 3 is to 5. That is 11,200. So the labor workforce should have dedicated the time in the ratio of 11,200 is to 16,800 is to 28,000. However, they dedicated the time like 9,000, 17,000 and 30,000. Again, into standard rate, the same similar concept just like material. $4,000 adverse, $300 adverse, $11,000 favorable. $6,700 favorable. So again, just the copy paste of what we did in material. Now last, again the same concept of material, that is material yield variance. We'll calculate labor yield, or if we are writing labor time variance, we will use here labor efficiency. Or if we are writing efficiency here, then we'll write here labor sub-efficiency. Any of the words can be used. Again, the similar concept. These 5,000 units are to be manufactured in aggregate 50,000 hours. I repeat again, these 5,000 units are to be manufactured in aggregate 50,000 hours. These 5,000 units are to be manufactured in aggregate 50,000 hours. However, the work was completed in 56,000 hours. Into the weighted average rate, that is 1,45,000 divided by 50,000. So 11,000 adverse, 6,700 favorable. So this will be approx 6,000 divided by 50,000. Just like material price, we calculated labor rate variance. Just like material usage, we calculated labor time or efficiency variance. Similarly, just like material mix variance, we calculated labor mix variance. Just like material yield variance, we calculated labor yield variance. Again, the framing of the formula will be the same. That is, standard hours are to be paid at the rate standard rate minus actual hours were paid at the rate actual rate. Similarly, in material, what we were doing, standard price minus actual price into actual quantity. So herein, standard hours minus actual hours into standard rate minus actual rate into actual hours. Standard price minus actual price into actual quantity. So similarly, standard rate minus actual rate into actual hours. For labor time and efficiency variance, it is standard hours. This much hours should we have actually used, but we used total 9,000 hours. That is the actual hours into standard rate. As far as mix variance is concerned, standard mix minus actual hour, that is, this should be the mix minus actually the hours that are worked into standard rate. Labor yield variance also, it was standard quantity minus standard mix into standard price. So herein, standard hours minus standard mix into standard price. So this is all what about labor variances. We'll make some modification in the question, the same question, and we'll solve this question once again. So if you guys have any doubts till now, you guys can ask me. Waiting for your queries, guys. Thank you, Charu. I have corrected this 600 errors. Priyanka, sir, please explain yield variance once again. See, Priyanka, it is given in the question, that is labor yield. It is similar to material yield variance, wherein the total hours required for actual production is how much? 50,000 hours. Minus hours actually worked for actual production, 56,000 hours. So the difference is of 6,000 hours. Now this 6,000 hours, certain hours will be of skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled. One way is you can divide it in the ratio of 2:3:5 and multiply it by 5, 3 and 2 respectively. Alternatively, better take the weighted average rate and save your time and get the answer. That's it. So if you guys have any doubts, any queries, any confusion, you guys can ask me. Waiting for your queries, guys. In the meanwhile, I request you to revise material variance and labor variance. Let's take a break of 10 minutes. You guys will be fresh after the break because I'll be discussing the overheads part now. Sorry, I'll be discussing one more concept of labor cost, labor variances, and then we'll proceed with fixed overhead variances and variable overhead variances. So I request you to take the screenshot and take a quick review of what we have discussed till now. And if you guys have any query, you guys can post it. I'll check all your queries and will address all your queries. Okay? So let's take a break of 10 minutes, then we'll start the session once again. Sir, can we take a break? Hello friends, hi. Welcome back after a refreshing break, guys. Now let me check if there are any queries first of all. Shivani sir, there are almost 23 questions in the study material. We can solve all the questions with these formulas or concept. See, the formulas and concepts are same. It's like how to prepare these formulas we have discussed by using concepts. So if you are thorough with the concept, you can solve n number of questions without any doubts or anything else. Shivani, further this formula is perfect. This formula is perfect. So standard hours minus standard makes standard into standard price. If we are left out with some time, I'll try to solve this question with this formula itself. As far as idle time is concerned, now I'll be discussing the idle time part also. So let's start, guys. See, guys, if we are done with all the variances today itself, that is fixed overhead and variable overhead, whatever the doubts you are facing in the study material, I'll be solving each and every question of study material which you are finding it difficult. So don't worry, guys, I'll be addressing all your queries as far as study material is concerned in the next section itself. Because there are 3 sessions for standard costing, that's why. Now, a small change in this question. So if this question is given like the budget is given and the actual is given, we can solve this question very easily with the help of the concepts what we have learned in the material variances. Now, what if in case if idle hours are given? What if in case idle hours are given? Here in this question, let's say the idle hours are 500 for skilled, 400 for semi-skilled, and 100 for unskilled. So even now, first and the foremost thing, what are idle hours? These are the hours for which the labor are paid. However, the work is kept on hold due to either power failure or whatever it is. So the labor force is paid for the idle hours. So actually we paid for 9,000 hours in case of skilled. However, the hours they've actually worked, I repeat again, the skilled labor were paid for 9,000 hours, but the effective hours they actually worked is how much? Total 9,000 hours minus 500 hours. So 8,500 hours they actually worked. That is, the productive hours are 8,500 hours only, even though we paid them for 9,000 hours. Similarly, for semi-skilled, we paid them for 17,000 hours. However, 400 hours were for idle time were lost due to idle time. It might be due to machine failure or power failure or anything. So the effective hours they worked is 16,600 hours. Similarly, in case of unskilled also, the effective hours they worked is 29,900. So total 1,000 is the idle hours. And the total hours actually paid are 56,000. However, the hours actually worked is how much? 55,000 in aggregate. Now the point is, what if in case idle hours are given? What will be the change in the solution? So now let's start, guys. If idle hours are given, there will be no change in the material cost variance because the amount that is paid is actually paid is 150 for 750, and it was the amount that was supposed to be incurred as estimated by the management is 1,45,000. So there will be no change in material cost variance. Again, sorry, labor cost variance. Again, if it is labor rate variance also, there will be no change. Similarly, like material labor rate variance, we will calculate. We have calculated it earlier also, that is 5 minus 7 into 9,000. So 18,000 adverse. Again 3 minus 2.75 into 17,000. And last 2 minus 1.5 into 30,000. Now the third variance, that is labor time variance, again no change. That is for skilled 10,000 hours minus 9,000 hours into 5, 15,000 hours minus 17,000 hours into 3, 25,000 hours minus 30,000 hours into 2. So 5,000 favorable, 6,000 adverse, and 10,000 adverse. So aggregate it will be 11,000 adverse. So if idle hours are given in the question, tell the labor time variance, so there will be no change in the solution, guys. Now, instead of breaking it in two parts, that is labor mix and yield, there will be three breakups. Separate variance will be calculated for idle hours. So first we will calculate idle time variance, guys. $500 for skilled, 400 for semi-skilled, and 100 for unskilled into the rate 5, 3, and 2, that is 2,500 adverse. Since idle hours are a loss for the management, so that's why it will be adverse. 1,200 adverse and 200 adverse. So in aggregate, it will be 2,500 plus 1,200 plus 200, that is 3,900 adverse. So we have calculated the idle time variance separately, wherein whatever the idle hours are into multiplied by standard rate. Again, since it is a breakup of labor time variance, and this part ignores the actual rate, that's why into standard rate. Now, when talking about labor mix variance, now we will be calculating labor mix and yield variance. If you guys have any queries in idle time variance, you guys can ask me. Waiting for your queries, guys, first of all. Now see, guys, when talking about labor mix variance, see, there is an overall time deviation of how much? 50,000 to 56,000, that is 6,000 hours. I repeat again, the overall work was supposed to be completed in 50,000 hours, but we took 56,000 hours, that is 6,000 hours extra. Of this, 1000 is the idle time variance that we have separated. Now we are left out with the adjustment of remaining 5000 hours. Alternatively, let's say in case of semi-skilled, there was a deviation of 15,000 to 17,000, that is 2000 hours. I repeat again, in case of semi-skilled labor, the hours that were actually supposed to be dedicated is how much? 15,000 hours. But we spend on an average 17,000 hours, that is 2,000 hours extra. Out of this 2,000 hours, 400, the adjustment of 400 hours is already done here. I repeat again, from 15 to 17,000 hours, there is a deviation of 2,000 hours, there is a variance of 2,000 hours. Out of this, 400 hours is idle time, what we have already considered. So now we are left out with only balance of 1600 hours that need to be considered for the remaining variance. So in aggregate, 50 and 56, the difference is of 6,000 hours, of which 1,000 hours idle time is already considered. So now these figures will come into picture instead of these figures. Why? Because out of the difference of 6,000 hours, we have already considered 1,000 hours as a idle time variance. Now, for the remaining variance, all these three figures will come into picture. So as far as mixed variance is concerned, so as far as mixed variance, labor mixed variance is concerned, the mixed variance should be calculated as per 55,000 hours rather than 56,000 hours. Because out of this 56,000 hours, 1,000, the difference of 1,000 hours is idle time, and that we have already considered in this part. So balance we are left out with 5,000 hours. So the labor mix and yield will be calculated as per remaining 55,000 hours. So what should be the actual mix? 2:3:5 for 50,000 hours. I repeat again, instead of 56,000 hours, we'll be using 55,000 hours for the remaining part, because the 1,000 hours difference is already eliminated in labor idle time variance. So we are left out with a difference of only 5,000 hours. So the mix variance will be calculated keeping in mind the remaining 55,000 hours only. So 55,000 hours should be in the ratio of 2:3:5. That is 11,000, 16,500 and 27,500. So this 55,000 should be in the ratio of 2:3:5, whereas it was actually how much? 8,500 minus 16,600 minus 29,900 into rate 5, 3 and 2. So guys, yes, Shameen, the idle time variance is always adverse because it is a loss to the management. Now, as far as labor mix is concerned, I repeat again, guys, there was an overall difference of 50,000 to 56,000 hours, that is 6,000 hours. Of this, 1,000 hours is the idle time variance. So we are left out with a difference of 5,000 hours only. So for 5,000 hours we have to make the adjustment. So now instead of these figures, these figures will be considered for the purpose of calculating mix variance as well as yield variance. So these 55,000 hours should be in the ratio of 2:3:5. So this much should be the mix. Whereas the actual mix was how much? Instead of 9,000, 17,000, 30,000, we will take 8,500, 16,600 and 29,900. So this is how the labor mix variance will be calculated. The formula will be standard mix minus actual hour worked into standard mix. Now, as far as labor yield variance is concerned or sub efficiency variance is concerned, the same concept. Labor yield or sub-efficiency variance. Very simple. The work was supposed to be completed in 50,000 hours, but the work was completed in 55,000, not 56, because 1,000 is the idle time that is already considered separately. So we are left out with a difference of only 5,000 hours. So the work was supposed to be completed in 50,000 hours, but it was completed in 55,000 hours. That is 5,000 hours extra into the weighted average rate. Why weighted average rate? I have already discussed twice in material as well as the labor previous question. 145 divided by 50. So 14,500 adverse. Check the total, guys. It is 14,500 adverse plus 3,900 adverse minus 7,400 favorable. The total is 11,000. So this is all what about labor variance. Again, it is the copy paste of material variance. However, there is a slight change. There will be a slight change in the solution if the idle hours are given. What will be the change? First of all, material cost variance will be same, rate will be same, time will be same. We'll calculate idle time variance, and whatever the idle time is, we'll remove from the actual hours paid, and the remaining will be used for the purpose of calculating labor mix and yield variance. So if you guys have any doubts, any queries, as far as formula is concerned, I've already discussed how to prepare formula, that is standard hours into standard rate minus actual hour into actual rate. Labor rate variance, this much should be the rate minus this rate into actual hours. As far as time variance is concerned, standard hours minus actual hour is 2 into standard rate. As far as idle time is concerned, idle hours into standard rate. Labor mix variance is concerned, I've already discussed standard mix minus actual hour work rather than actual hour paid. So actual hour work into standard rate. And herein also standard hours minus standard mix into standard rate. If you guys have any doubts, any queries, any confusion, you guys can ask me. Else I'll start with the next part of the investigation process, that is overheads now. So waiting for your queries, guys. I request you to please take the snapshot or screenshot or copy the solution. Please. Waiting for your queries, guys. Jyoti sir, how actual hours worked calculated in case of idle hours? See, the actual hour paid are 9,000 and the idle hours are 500. So that's why the actual hour worked will be 9,000 minus 500, 8,500. Similarly, for semi-skilled 17,000 hours actually paid minus 400 hours are idle. So actual hour worked are 16,600. Similarly, 30,000 minus 100, 29,900. Yes, it is abnormal idle time, dear. No, Kamal. Overtime is what? Excessive time taken for manufacturing of a product. So that's why we are calculating all these variances. Very good, Rahul. Thank you so much. Finally, you got. Any other doubts, guys? Priyanka, Shamim, Hina, Mansha, Rakesh, Mr. Rao, Manish, Shivani Rajput, Shivani Singh. Any other doubts, guys? Ishika, Renuka. Any other doubts, guys? Sanjay. Waiting for your queries. The concept of material and labor are almost same, but however, if there is idle hours given in the question, then there will be a slight change. Any other doubts, Manish? Any other doubts? Anyone, guys? I think there are no queries till now for Shameen, everyone. Great. Jameel, very good morning, Jameel. Okay, I have a query for all of you. I want an answer. Let's take a question of material. The budgeted output is 10 units. Actual output is 600 units. The budgeted data is given wherein 3 raw materials are used X, Y, Z. The quantity is, let's say for 10 units, it requires 60 kgs of X, 40 kgs of Y, and 80 kgs of Z. So the final will be 180 kgs of input. Now you guys have to calculate revised budget quantity for X, Y, and Z. So waiting for your answers. My question is whether the revised budget will be prepared or not. The first question is yes or no. And second, if yes, then what will be the revised budget quantity for X, Y, and Z? So waiting for your answer. Let me see who can solve this question. So waiting for your replies, guys. I repeat again, the budgeted output is 10 units. The actual output is 600 units. The budgeted quantity required to manufacture these 10 units are 60, 40, and 80 kgs. Total 180 kgs to manufacture only 10 units. So what will be the revised budget quantity for XYZ? Waiting for your answers. Those who are writing all clear, clearly understood. Let's see who can answer. And who is the first one to answer? Waiting for your answer, guys. Quick. Giving you a minute time. Still, I have not got the answers. Waiting for your answers, guys. This is the question X, Y, and Z. Still, I have not received any answers from your end. Waiting for your answers, guys. Very good, Kamal. Let me check the answer is correct. Let me check. Hina, you mean to say that it is not comparable? So, okay, fine. What are the answers? Very good, Kamal. Kamal was the first one to answer. And I think your answer is correct. Let me check, Kamal. Yes, Kamal, your answer is correct. Waiting for the others to answer, guys. I got the answer from Mr. Kamal Roshia. Waiting for your answers, everyone. Especially from all who has written, sir, all clear. I got answer from Aditi also. Correct answer, Aditi. Very good. Manish, very good. Very good, Ishika. Correct answer. Very good morning, Nancy. Correct answer, dear. Sanjay, again incorrect answer, dear. You need to check the concepts. Incorrect answer, Sanjay. Disha, correct answer. Jameel, Shivani Rajput, Shivani Singh, where are you guys? Charu, Nishma, Priyanka, Shamim, Mr. Rao, Rahul. Apart from Sanjay, I have received answer from Miss Dalia, correct. Shivani Singh, correct answer. Charu, correct answer. Renuka, incorrect answer, dear. Please check. Incorrect answer, Renuka. Still, you are not thorough with the concepts, dear. I've got answer from Aishwarya, correct answer. Very good. Mr. Rao, correct answer. Mr. Manish, correct answer. Very good, Meenakshi, correct answer. Shivani Rajput, Mansha, where are you guys? Sanjay and Renuka, you need to check your concepts. Still the answer is incorrect, dear. Yes, where are you all? Waiting for the answers. I've got only answers only from 5 to 10 people. I've got answer from Jameel. 1 second. Nishma, correct answer. Sushil, correct answer. Miss Shivani Rajput, correct answer. Miss Dalia, correct answer. Charu, sir, I have said yes because you asked whether to prepare revised budget or not. Yes, you have to prepare, but I'm waiting for the final answers. Very good, Nikita. Very good, Bhumika. Correct answer. See, guys, specifically for Sanjay and Renuka, please, guys, see, for X, 60 kgs are required for 10 units. So for 600 units, how much? 3600 kgs. Again, in case of material and labor, the basis of comparison is what? Output, guys. I repeat again, the basis of comparison is output in case of material and labor. So herein the output is different, that's why. 40 kg is required for 10 units. So for 600 units, it will be 2400. Similarly, 80 kgs for 10 units of output. So for 600, how much that is? 4800. Priyanka, please check, your answer is incorrect. Mr. Rabi, again incorrect answer. I am surprised, guy, why your answers are incorrect. Sanjay and Renuka, very much surprised. Priyanka, what is your, I am not getting what you are writing. It's completely incorrect answer, yeah. Rabi also incorrect answer. Sakshi Pawar, very good correct answer. So guys, in case of material and labor, very important guys, in case of material and labor, very important guys, the basis of comparison is what? Output. The output should be the same. Let's take one more question of material or labor. Let's take one more question wherein 125 kg is required to manufacture 100 units of X. The price, that is at the rate rupees 30 per kg. This is the budget. When talking about actual, total 500 units were manufactured. By using 750 kgs at the rate 28 per kg. Find cost, price, and usage variance. I repeat again, guys, the budget is given wherein 125 kgs are required to manufacture 100 units of X at the rate 30 per kg, the raw material price, standard price of the raw material. In actual, 500 units were manufactured by using 750 kgs at the rate 28 per kg. Find cost, price, and usage variance. Waiting for the answer. Material cost variance, material price variance, and material usage variance. Waiting for the answers, guys. Let me test who can solve this question. Very good. Waiting for your answers, guys. Nishma, the actual output was 600 in that case, in the last question. Miss Renuka, sir, why not 180 kg is used for the calculation instead of 10 units? See, 180 kg is the total input. I repeat again, 180 kg in the last question. It was X, Y, and Z, 60, 40, and 80. So this is what 180 kg is. It's the input. And the output is 10 units. Few guys, few of you are thinking, sir, 170 is the normal loss or what? No, guys, it's not the normal loss. It's the nature of product. Let's say in automobile industry, there are 2000 types of input and the output is only one car. It doesn't mean that 1999 is the normal loss. It's the nature of product. So in that case, the total input is of 180 kgs, whereas the output is of 10 kgs, guys. And Renuka, very important, In case of material and labor, you have to check how much is the output rather than the input, Renuka. You have made the same mistake in the previous question also, Renuka. So please be careful. Check the output rather than the input. The actual input is used for calculating mixed variance. As far as comparability is concerned, check whether the output is the same or not. Very good, Manish. Quick answer. Let me check whether the answer is correct. I got the answer from Mr. Manish, that is material cost variance. Let me check. Correct answer, Manish. Correct answer, Kamal. Very good. Very good, Manish. Very good, Kamal. Hopefully, Renuka, your doubt is resolved. Waiting for the others to answer, guys. Very good, Manish. But again, it's half answer. The first one to answer was Kamal Roshia. He answered all the 3 questions in one go. Very good, Kamal. Manish, still 2 more answers are pending from your end. Renuka, I want you to answer this question correctly. Renuka and Sanjay, I want you guys to answer this question correctly, and Mr. Rabi also. All 3 of you are not able to solve the previous question. I'm waiting for your answers, guys. Kamal was the first one to answer all the questions. Very good. I've got answer from Mr. Rao. Again, incorrect answer, dear Rao. Very good, Hina. The answer is correct. Cost and usage. Let me write the answer first. I have got correct answer from Mr. Kamal, Mr. Rao, Tushar Kumar. The incorrect answer, Hina, correct answer, very good. Jyoti, material cost variance, incorrect answer, Jyoti. You need to check. Incorrect answer, Jyoti Singh. Sorry, Miss Jyoti, sorry. Shivani Singh, very good, correct answer. Charu. Rahul, incorrect answer, dear. Very good, Renuka. Thank you so much. Mr. Rao, again incorrect answer. Yes, Disha, your answer is correct. Nikita, correct answer. Manish, correct answer. Yes, Mansha, madam. Shivani Rajput, madam. Where are you guys? Sanjay, I am waiting for your answer, dear. You have to manage the speed also while writing the paper, guys. You have to be very quick while writing the paper. It's not about the concept clarity. It's about the speed also that matters in the costing paper, because the costing paper in general is very lengthy. So your concept should be so good that you are able to solve the question very quickly. And this question should take not more than 1 or 1.5 minutes. That's it. I'm not asking for a presentation. I'm just waiting for the final answer, guys. Aishwarya, incorrect answer. Very much surprised your answer is incorrect, dear. Ishika, correct answer. Rahul, very much surprised your answer is incorrect. Yes, Nancy, where are you? Where is your answer? Sanjay, please check. No need to get demotivated or demoralized. If you have any doubts as far as concept is concerned, I'll surely try to make the things clear for you, dear. Don't worry, just try and solve the question and attempt the question. You too, Renuka, please. Jameel, answer is correct. Jameel, correct answer. Shivani, correct answer. Again, Jameel and Shivani, I expect much more, better results from you. You have to be very quick while solving the questions. Very good, Charu. The answer is correct. Nikita, correct answer. Sanjay, very good, Sanjay. The answer is correct. Thank you so much, Sanjay, for that. Your answers are correct and very good. I'm very happy with your efforts, guys. Rahul, where are you? Your answer was incorrect. Waiting for your correct answer. Very good, Jameel. Manish, you have to be little fast because again the way you are going, it's very slow, dear. Rahul, again incorrect answer. Material cost. Rahul, material cost variance is incorrect. Price is also incorrect. But usage is correct, Rahul. Nikita, correct answer, dear. Nishma, very much surprised, dear. It is incorrect answer. Nishma, your answer is incorrect. I do expect a better answer from your end, Nishma. Miss Charu, where are you? I am waiting for your answer, dear Charu. One more question in this same question, whether mix and yield will be calculated or not. One more question in the same question, whether mix or yield will be calculated or not. Waiting for your answers, guys. Sakshi, correct answer. Whether mix or yield variance will be calculated or not. When talking about material cost variance in this question, Renuka, for you, please check whether the output is same or different. Here in the budgeted data is given for 100 units and actual data is given for 500 units. So output is same? No. So we have to prepare revised budget. So quantity and price. This is the budget. Revised budget and actual. I am following the same format, guys. The budget is given wherein 125 kg is required to manufacture 100 units. So 125 is the raw material, the output is 100 units at the rate 30. The actual is given 750 kgs were consumed at the rate 28. So here in the output is 100 and here in the output is 500 units. So these two figures are not comparable. So we have to make them comparable. So that's why 125. So this will be 625, that is 125 kgs for 100 units. So for 500 units, it will be 625 at the rate 30. So 625 into 30, 18,750, 21,000. So 2250, 18,750 minus 21,000. This is material cost variance. 2250. So this is the way you guys have to solve the question. It is 2250, Rahul. I think you have taken this as the output and this as the input. Very good, Nishma. Nikita, correct answer, dear. Sakshi, correct answer. Jameel. Jamil, I'll try to address your query in the query session, or tomorrow I'll be solving all the questions, whatever you need from study material, so that you guys can understand in a better way how to apply the concepts on the practical questions, guys. Very good, Kamal. No. Yes, Manish. Correct answer. Shamim. Again, Shamim, incorrect answer, dear. Mr. Rao, incorrect answer. Very good, Shivani. Very good, Jamil. Very good, Disha. Very good, Sanjay. Aditi. Very good, Mansha. Mansha, sleeping or what? Very good, Rahul. Hina. Very good, Charu. Very good, correct answer, dear. Sakshi, very good, all of you. Perfect. So this is material cost variance. When talking about material price variance and material usage variance, the price is 30 minus 28 into 750, and the usage will be 625 minus 750 into 30. So this is how you guys have to calculate the answer. So the material price variance will be 50, and this will be 2250 3750 adverse. Very good, Bhumika. I know there is something wrong with the question, that's why. Or you didn't understand you are not thorough with the question, that's why, Nishma. No worries. Anushka, check the total. Material price variance is 1500 favorable, and this is 3750 adverse. So the total variance will be 2250 adverse. Material price plus usage is equals to material cost, and material mix plus yield is equals to material usage variance. This is for the purpose of verification, guys. Still we have 1 more minute. Let's take one more question. Let's see who can solve the question. Waiting for the answers, guys. Waiting for the answers, guys. Thank you, Shivani. Thank you, Sushil. Charu, in question always it will be given that whether it is output or input. Major thing is you have to read the question carefully to get the answer. Waiting for the answer, guys. It's a little different question from what we have discussed till now. So you have to do some reverse calculation for the answers. Waiting for the answer. Let's see who answers first. Quick, guys. Who is the first one to answer? Very good, Nishma, as expected. The answer is correct. Very good, Hina. Correct answer. Nishma, very good. Hina, very good. Rahul, incorrect answer. Very much surprised. Kamal, incorrect answer, my dear. Incorrect answer, Miss Dalia Barui. Rahul, incorrect answer. Mr. Rao, again incorrect answer. Anushka, I expect a better efforts from your end and a better answer. Incorrect answer, my dear. Shivani Singh, very good. You're doing great now. Shivani Singh, correct answer. Nishma, very good. Charu, incorrect answer. Very good, Mansha. As expected, your answer is correct. Disha, incorrect answer, dear. You guys have to be very quick and your answer should be correct. I do expect a better replies from your end, guys. Incorrect answer, Nikita Meenakshi. I'm very much surprised, guys. Have some patience, think, read the question carefully, follow the thumb rule, what I have taught you. Your answer will be correct, guys. Don't worry. Very good, Aditi. Correct answer. Miss Dalia, again incorrect answer. Mansha, correct answer. Shamim, very good, correct answer. Manish, I do expect a better answer from your end. Incorrect answer, my dear. Aditi, I think your answer is correct. Ishika, incorrect answer, my dear. Where is Miss Nancy Valentine? Where is Sanjay? Guys, you need to practice a lot, guys. Few of you were correct. Few of you were incorrect, but still I expect a better reply from your end. Especially Manish, Aditi. Aditi, your answer is correct. No, my dear Manish, incorrect answer. Shivani, I think you are sleeping, dear. Incorrect answer. I do expect a correct answer from your. Concepts. I request you guys to solve each and every question of study material and past answer is incorrect, dear. I do expect a better answer from your end. Charu, incorrect answer, my dear. Sushil Kumar, incorrect answer. Miss Anushka, again incorrect answer. I'm very much surprised your answer is incorrect, dear. Charu, again surprised your answer is incorrect. Sushil, since it's the first day of the week now, I have to answer because I mean you guys have to go for articleship or some work must be there. So I mean it's already 9:37. So let's start, guys. See, in this question, the budget is given wherein the quantity is 50 units. Sorry, the output is 10 units for 15 kgs of input and the price is 5. whereas the actual output is 500 units. The quantity is 2700 and the actual price is not given. Now, when talking about material price variance, what it is basically? The price that was supposed to be paid minus the actual price which is actually paid into the actual quantity, that is 2700, and this is given as 5400 adverse. It means what? Negative 5400. So material price variance will be 5 minus actual price. This go like 5400 divided by 2700. So 5 minus actual price is equals to minus 2. Therefore, the actual price will be 2. So once you are able to get the actual price, very simple. Again, the question will be like, the material cost variance. So this is the way you have to calculate the actual price, guys. Ten units, 50 kgs. So 500 units, how much? So these are the correct answer, wherein the actual price will be 7. Very good, Sushil, correct answer. So guys, done with today's session. We have discussed material variances, we have discussed labor variances. The concept of material and labor is almost same. So I request you to practice in writing, guys, of all the questions of material and labor, of study material as well as old practice manual, because tomorrow we will